J.R.R. Tolkien was huge on symbolism. It shows it through his work in The Lord of the Rings. Here's a couple of examples. Gandalf and Aragorn are both symbolized as Christ. They both come back after almost dying, or Gandalf does die but comes back because of giving him a second chance. As well, the hobbits are given the title of Christians in this everyday world. They have to carry the burden of Middle-earth, carry the burden of everyone, and finish everything. And finally, the fellowship itself. The fellowship itself represents disciples, the discipleship of Christ. A quick fun fact, the way that Tolkien found the name Samwise Gamgee was through his neighbor. His neighbor's name was Samwise Gamgee. Tolkien's stories are purpose-driven. They are purpose-driven so that people can listen to the gospel without actually listening to the gospel. It gives people hope in the gospel and has turned many to Christ because of its hope.
I didn't think it would end this way.
End? No, the journey doesn't end here. Death is just another path. One that we all must take. The grey rain curtain of this world rolls back, and all turns to silver glass. And then you see it.
What? Gandalf. See what?
White shores. And beyond, the far green country and a swift sunrise.
That isn't so bad.
No. No, it isn't.
J.R.R. Tolkien wrote the Lord of the Rings series in such a way that it was intriguing for all readers, Christian and non-Christian alike.
Also, he wrote in a way where people didn't even know that they were reading about the gospel.
He gave non-Christians a better perspective of the gospel and allowed them to understand it in a way that was more gripping and entertaining. And like you said, Tyler, not necessarily knowing what they were actually watching.
In 1955, J.R.R. Tolkien released one of his most memorable and one of his last works, The Return of the Kings.
In the end of the book, Gandalf and Frodo sail off in a ship into the sunset, which essentially is bringing them to their death in heaven. Now, in the Bible, we see Jesus rise up into the clouds, returning to his Father. And in the same sense, Gandalf here is a representation of who Jesus was in the Bible.
We will forever be king, forever strong, mighty, beyond imagination.
What are you? She's not my curse. Not anymore.
Tolkien wrote his formal essay Beowulf, The Monsters and Critics, on the novel Beowulf. He wrote it on his view of Beowulf, of which was against what the world thought that Beowulf stood for. Many people thought that Beowulf was all about becoming the ultimate human, all about greed, and all about satisfaction. Meanwhile, Tolkien thought that Beowulf was all about persevering and going and doing things through God's will.
Tolkien influenced the way people viewed the story and beliefs of Christianity in such a different way than any other great Christian in history had done before. Tolkien was no Mother Teresa. He wasn't known for helping the poor or saving thousands of people on the street. In fact, Tolkien could have been just seen as an ordinary old guy. Instead, Tolkien used his extraordinary creative and brilliant thoughts and his almost unbelievable storytelling ability to grasp and incorporate small and large Christian values into his writings. Instead of directly changing the lives of thousands of people, Tolkien inspired and started a spark into the hearts and minds of millions of people all over the world. All who read his works were indirectly introduced and inspired by values that Christ shows and has us live by in the Bible. His intent wasn't to convert his readers to believe in the Catholic ways. Rather, he wanted his readers to see his writings as an intriguing view of Jesus Christ and the morals of Christianity.
I wish the ring had never come to me. I wish none of this had happened.
So do all who live to see such times, but that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us. There are other forces at work in this world, Frodo, besides the will of evil. Bilbo was meant to find the ring, in which case you also were meant to have it. And that doesn't encourage you.